Welcome to the Two Tunes podcast. I'm Bo.
I'm Brandon.
Yeah, I'm doing a weird voice.
Yeah.
I've been doing
wondering
that.
at your weird voice.
Yes, it's my new thing.
Speaking of weird voices, so I'm off my allergy meds
Okay.
because I have an allergy test in a couple days.
Okay.
And I have to just be off of everything.
Yeah,
and
you got to be clean.
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks because the pollen and everything is really terrible right now. And also, I might have a cold. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid I'm not going to take anything because
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to have this damn test and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
But
It's like, yeah, you're allergic to everything. It's, well, I know I'm allergic to this.
well, I don't even know what I'm allergic to. I just have been diagnosed with originally just seasonal allergies, start taking your Zyrtec in the spring and whatever.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was having issues in the winter time and I got diagnosed with winter allergies as well. So basically I just have allergies all the time.
Yeah.
And so I just
makes
take
sense.
a daily Zyrtec and daily nasal spray and all that stuff. And then I have this sinus thing on my left side. And I went in about that, and she was like, I don't see anything up there. Let's do an allergy test. And I was like, okay. I don't, that's probably, I do need that probably, but also what's going on in the left side of my face is what I want to know. So we'll see what happens. But my voice and my face and head are really messed up. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I feel and I've heard this from friends that have listened, my stuffiness, which I just generally have, is obviously quite literally amplified on a podcast.
Well, yeah, because we're so close to the microphones.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that it's extra worse today and probably on next week's episode.
Yes.
So,
And unless it's miraculously gone.
probably not.
Couple dumb things.
Mm-hmm.
I went for a walk today in the woods.
Oh,
And then I discovered you could take pictures of plants and things and on your phone
and find out what they are
and find out what it is. So the first thing, there's plant out in our yard, and my wife was like, I know it's this, but I don't know if it's this version or this version. I'm like, well, let's find out. And it's it just told you the general idea. And then I'm like, well, I know this works for animals, so I take a picture of our dog, and it doesn't give us the breed; it just says dog. And I'm like, obviously.
that's funny.
And then in the woods today, I took a picture. I'm just like, oh, I could do this. This is we're in the woods. I could figure out what this is. And then I just decide to random click a picture of something. Mm-hmm. And it's poison ivy. I'm like, okay.
That's funny. Did you not know what poison ivy looks like?
No, I know it. As I'm taking the picture, I'm like, I think this is poison ivy.
Leaves of 3. Leave it be.
Yeah. What else is in the news?
Leaves of 4, eat some more. Isn't that a Simpsons quote?
Probably.
That's a thing on Twitter right now, is everybody posting their favorite Simpsons jokes.
It never stops. What are we doing now? Do you have a thing? I think we have other things to talk about, but I can't think of what they are.
I don't know. I closed a musical since we last.
You did, and you closed it.
It was really good. It was a good one. Anyone who's never seen Something Rotten, if you can see it somewhere, go see it. You missed a really good production, though, because our cast was killer. Yeah.
School's almost out. Play's about to start. I rode my bike here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading a book about Kathleen Hanna. Yeah. Anyways, we're here to talk about Two Tunes.
Bo's reading some Colleen Hoover.
Yes. So
who's first?
I'm first, as always, when we start. I always say that. You always ask on the first.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So first off, you know who Steve Albini is, or was, I should say.
Yes.
So Steve Albini, not a producer.
No?
He just, people would work with him and be like, you're going to make this record what it is, but he wouldn't produce in a way of...
Pretty sure all the obituaries say producer Steve Albini.
Yes. Yeah, but he wouldn't call himself a producer.
Okay.
He's like, I'm going to get paid like a plumber. And this is a direct quote, the plumber line, where he just wants to do the job. It's a service industry thing.
Okay.
Where his job is to record your voice or your music in a way. I'm looking. I have this paper that's like his. He wrote a letter to Nirvana.
Okay.
Look, here it is. Look, I got notes. Anyways, like he worked like saying that like every project, like everyone, like he's like, this is what I like, but it'd be really dumb for me to put my view on your music.
Okay.
Where a lot of producers, like people will like work with producers because like we want your view, and we want to put your view on our music, and it's like no. I want to find who you are and capture that.
Yeah, I just listened to I listened to an interview with Judd Apatow, but he was talking about like getting notes from other directors and things. Like he'll often show his movies to like some big time directors and stuff that he really trusts and you know, likes their opinion and stuff.
Yeah.
But he said it's funny when you get notes from them, like Ron Howard, for instance. Those guys, the movies they make, pretty different.
Yeah.
But he'll get notes from Ron Howard and be like, man, that's a really good note. But if I did that, it would be like a Ron Howard movie.
Yeah.
And a note from this other person, and it'd be like, man, that's so good. But if I did that, it'd be like this. So it just made me think about that. So like, yeah, Steve Albini could come in and like do his Steve Albini thing, but then it would be like a Steve Albini record as opposed to what he's saying is like Nirvana or Pixies, I assume, and some others, and like he's maybe but he's got to put some kind of magic on it, right, or something. If
you list like so,
because otherwise, why would anybody care about him in that sense?
Because of his philosophy
of
how he records.
Okay.
And he doesn't take production points or producer points. So points is like a percentage of like royalties. So in this thing, and this was a letter that he wrote to Nirvana before recording In Utero.
Okay.
And it's like, here's, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, 2.5, 3.5. It's like, I would like to be paid like a plumber. I do the job and you pay me for what it's worth. The record company will expect me to ask for points or 1.5 points. If we assume 3 million sales, that works out to $400,000 or so. There's no fucking way I would ever take that much money. I wouldn't be able to sleep. So it's like, I'm doing a job. Like it's very service industry type thing. And he's kind of, and people have made this reference where it's like, well, what kind of producer are you? And like they give you the spectrum of producers is like, are you a Steve Albini? Like that's the one side of like where I just record. I don't like tell you how to change your songs. I don't change you how to change your tones. Like he'll like put things up. It's like, this is you. Awesome. Let's put up microphones and like capture that. Or are you, I'm getting lost in the name, the guy from Goldfinger. What's his name?
Nope, never gonna pull it. But
yeah, sure. I'm not either. But he is very much like writing credit. Every album that he does, he has a writing credit on. So yeah, like what side are you on, or like?
So then I guess the question is like, is it how he records? Is it like the use of this preamp or this whatever? I'm going to use terms I don't even really know what they mean.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean? Like there's got to be some reason why.
I think it's the work ethic. I think it's like, you worked on these records and I like these records. Like it's also, if you think of Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin? Yeah, Rick Rubin. He doesn't have a sound. He has a how would I put it? Like he's more of a guru and like a philosophy of like how to get the best music, how to record the best music. Because he has said is like, I don't know anything technical. Like I don't know how to record people, but I know how to get people to produce their best work.
Okay.
Or I know when it is their best work. Because and in some interviews people saying he looks like he's asleep. But he's not. He's like listening and then being like, that right there.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the take.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, I think it needs more. And it's not even like, I think it needs this. It's just like, I think you can go further.
Yeah.
And kind of like a guru of like pushing you in the directions, but not really like, or a therapist,
Right.
maybe, where you have these different aspects of
He's
like,
asking the right questions, or like
maybe
giving you the right open-ended.
Yeah. Some people have like, I hated working with him because he didn't do anything.
Right.
But then he doesn't, they don't see the side of like a teacher, you'll have X amount of students, and some of those students will be like, she's the best, or they're the best teacher that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that teacher sucked.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Well, it's because everybody learns differently.
Exactly.
And so similar things. Some people need somebody to be more hands-on, and some people, and that's the problem too, where with the producer thing, and I've seen this like in some like behind the scenes thing where they're like, oh, we wanted to work with that person, and they work with that person, and it's like just a terrible experience because maybe they're not the person that they needed in that moment. They just were the shiny object or whatever.
Let me see if I can find this.
But then I'm guessing that it's something similar with Albini, like he was just able to get the best sound in
maybe
whatever his ways were.
I don't know. So Rich from the Suicide Machines, he was telling me it's like, he was on the list of like people that they would like, who can we work with? Who would we like to work with? Which I think that Steve Albini is like the punkest producer, air quotes.
What were his groups that he had?
He had his most famous one, I guess, was Shellac, and they just put out a record.
Oh, jeez.
Like after his death. He had this thing where he was talking about like a bass tone, but he's like in fake Italian, and he's like this song is like a dolphin, and you are a rhino, and the rhino do not belong in the ocean. Rhino drown. It's like saying how like the bass tone is like it doesn't fit with this song.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm gonna like dive deep into watching things with Steve Albini, the punkest motherfucker you ever did see. So we're talking about the Pixies.
I'm sorry. Who?
The Pixies.
I'm sorry. I believe it's just Pixies.
Is it?
I think it's one of those bands where there's no the.
You're probably right. Yeah, you're right. It is just Pixies.
Did I tell you ever? I don't remember. This just came up recently about Whitaker Center.
Oh, yeah. We've mentioned that here.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Once you reach a certain level, your band's website is not a good website to get historical information.
Okay.
It's more of like a now. So I just basically went to the Pixies website and was looking for like an about. It's like, you don't know who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you didn't stumble upon this. Well, you might have.
Maybe.
Depending on your Google search.
Yeah. So Pixies is Black Francis.
Great stage name, by the way.
Yeah. Who was it?
His name is just
Charles Michael Kittredge Thomas IV.
Wait, that's him?
That is his legal name.
Oh. Really?
What's that? Yeah.
Why did I think that his name was...
Also known as Frank Black.
Well, that's what I thought his actual name was.
No.
I thought his name was Frank Black, or like Francis Black. And then he just like flipped it around, and I was like, oh, that's great. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
He performs under the stage name Black Francis. Following the band's breakup, the Pixies, Pixies, in 1993, he embarked on a solo career under the name Frank Black. So Frank Black came out
after Francis Black. Okay,
after Black Francis.
Okay, so then I had it all wrong.
That's his stage name.
Okay. His extra stage name. Okay, then I had it all wrong.
Yeah.
I just assumed his name was like Francis Black, Frank Black, or whatever, and then he just flipped it, and I was like, oh, that's clever. Like, never mind.
Ooh, I don't know if I did stumble across this. So I was listening to something by Pixies. I'm going to screw that up the whole time.
I think everybody just says the Pixies. It's fine. That's their fault.
So I was listening to something, and then I was hearing, what is it? There were lines to the song, and it was like, if I go to hell, I hope. No, it wasn't. It's like man is 5 and the devil's 6. There's some lines that are then in Firewater Burn by the Bloodhound Gang,
Okay.
and they make reference in that song. It's like I'm not black like Barry White. Yes, I am white like Frank Black is.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
they said that in it, and then they would say these lines, and I'm like, oh, okay. No, I did not understand a reference at that point.
I understood that reference because like Barry White is black and Black Francis is
that, but like then the next is actually lyrics from a Pixies song.
Okay.
So then
from the Pixie song.
Yeah, sure. From a Pixies song.
From the Pixie song.
Yeah. And the only time that I ever heard of the Pixies was from Nirvana talking about Smells Like Teen Spirit and making references like, oh, this sounds like a Pixies song.
Okay.
Smells, apparently. Which I'm like, I don't know enough Pixies songs. And I didn't decide to be like, well, I'll get some Pixies records.
Yeah.
So
I've listened sparingly. The song you picked is the song that everybody would know.
Yes, everybody knows
it's been covered. It's been used in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, like where did you hear this song originally?
Ooh,
is it the same place that I heard it originally? Probably not.
No, I think I heard a cover first.
Okay,
I heard. Hang on, let me double check.
All right. Well, the way that I heard it was at the end of Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
So like, and I never like I would listen to it through Fight Club and be like, oh, that's a song from Fight Club. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it wasn't because Fight Club was like late 90s or early 2000s.
I feel like late 90s.
So late 90s, and this song came out in the early or maybe late 80s, actually.
Yep.
When I think about it.
I heard it on a Goaty Hook cover album or cover record, 1997. That's where I first heard the song.
So the song is called Where's My Mind? This is the 2007 remaster from the album Surfa Rosa. And there's some cool little things at the beginning and the end that are like weird.
Which I had never heard, and I think because why would you put them in like a movie soundtrack or a TV thing? You know what I mean?
Well, the stop part is in Fight Club.
Okay.
But it's like
I don't
it just
remember
starts
from Fight Club. I remember it from other things.
Yeah.
But
so here it is.
Stop.
Acoustic guitar. Super simple chord progression. 4 chords. And the truth. I love that. But like super reverbed out.
Yeah.
Super cool.
They use this in Sucker Punch also?
Maybe.
Be like a cover version, or maybe this version. I don't remember.
And that little lead lick is doubled, and actually like the electric guitar part is doubled. Even like the solo, like basically the lead guitar part is doubled, but in like the weirdest way.
Yeah. There's a cover version in Sucker Punch.
Okay. Does it seem that his lead vocals are a little bit to the left? You'll have to pay attention when he actually like comes into it. And you can also tell that like there's
stuff is oh yeah, it's way in the left.
It's kind of buried a little bit too.
Oh yeah.
Or at least at this volume.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's always kind of like that. Yeah, it sounds like a mono record almost. Like everything's really to either side, I think.
And those lead guitar parts are not lined up.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I'm trying to figure out if there's 2 acoustic guitar parts. Or if it's just one stereo.
Yeah.
Guitar part, or solo. And you could, like there, it's like, oh, we split off.
Yeah.
Because they probably just like, just do the solo. It's like, okay. It's like, you played it differently. Who cares? And that's where the production, it's like, no, we'll let you be you.
Yeah. This is one of those songs. I like this song a lot.
Yeah.
I like this, like the original. I like pretty much every cover I've ever heard because it's like a really good song to begin with. But it's like one of those also where, not that the covers are better than this, but this one's so just like stripped down, and like we said, like the vocals are off to the side and like kind of in the background and whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's iconic, but I don't know that it's like amazing as far as like production.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And that's where the Steve Albini
but
thing
the
comes
production of all the other ones is better. I think you know what I mean. It's
more produced.
Yeah. Well, and like different takes on it and different stuff too. But it's not like my thoughts about Taylor Swift songs where I think that the covers are just better.
Yeah.
That's not my opinion on it. It's just the production of the covers is better. But the production on this is so specific also.
Because it's let's see who you are.
Yeah.
And capture who you are.
It's got like DIY feel to it.
Yeah.
This was like their big.
Oh, and then the weird part. So why would you keep that?
Because they wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Surfer Rosa, is this their biggest album?
One of them.
Oh, it's the debut. Why did I not think it was their first album?
Wow, that was weird. Pixies, not Pixels. Oh, we should also make reference of like who was in the band at certain points. So Kim Deal was in the band, and Kim Deal, when the Pixies broke up, she joined with her sister, her twin sister, and formed the Breeders, which maybe we'll have on later, and we'll play Cannonball.
Yeah. Is Kim Deal's book one of the books that I read?
I don't know.
Is it Girl in the Band?
I don't know.
Kim Deal book.
I don't know.
Kim Deal and Me, 4 stories.
But she came back. So yeah, no, this is not their debut, but it did come out in '88. So
it says it's their debut album.
Well, what's Come on Pilgrim?
I don't know. Surfer Rosa's debut studio album.
This says Come on Pilgrim is the debut mini album. So what's a mini album? How many songs are on this? There's 8, and it's 20 minutes long.
Okay.
And all the songs are written except for one by Black Francis.
Okay.
And yeah, it's probably like what made them huge. What record label was this on?
480.
And they're also calling it an EP.
The mini album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, produced by Steve Albini, but not. Doolittle is the other record that's like big, or at least that you can kind of like look at the album cover and be like, I recognize that artwork.
Yeah. That title also.
Oh, he worked with Gil Norton. Gil Norton, that's also interesting that Gil Norton is the first, or such bands as the Pixies. But I believe that Gil Norton produced, The Color and the Shape. Foo Fighters, their second record. SR-71, Now You See Inside.
I remember SR-71. That one song they had.
Yeah. Counting Crows. Anyways, that's that person.
Cool.
Gil Norton. I've seen that name multiple times. Anyways. Yeah. So, what's up?
Anything else about Pixies?
So the Doolittle, Kurt Cobain said that it was one of his favorite records and that its songs heavily influenced Smells Like Teen Spirit.
There you go.
So go listen.
I feel like Pixies and like Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth came like earlier, but like they're two of those bands that like they had their moments.
Yeah.
And like they were big and whatever, but I feel like they were a lot of your favorite bands.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like Nirvana references them, and Foo Fighters probably reference each of those. You know what I mean? Like, and other folks and stuff. But I feel like they're those bands that like they weren't small, but they never quite hit the way that who they influenced did.
I forget who was saying it, but there's this idea of like the people who pioneer something don't get credit for it. It's
Right.
the second people.
Yes, second or third in some ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So
For sure.
so this is like that Pixie sound. Nirvana was the one who like catapulted
Right.
that type of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, we're about to talk about a Billy Strayhorn tune, and Billy Strayhorn wrote for Duke Ellington's band, and like, there's groups that Duke Ellington like looked up to and whatever, and then he just surpassed, like Jimmy Lunsford and some other like famous big bands that were bigger than Duke, originally, but then he just kind of like went past them, and then you'll maybe hear him reference those people and whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, we should check them out. It's like, yeah, they kind of did it first and then influenced. So should we just move on into my thing?
Yeah. Go.
Cool.
Go.
So the performing artist we have heard before, but it's not. To me, I didn't bring it because of the performing artist. I brought it because of the composer.
Do you want to explain
like the
what,
tune?
What do you want to do the explanation of why this tune and not another tune?
Okay, I'll do that first. So I sent you a different tune originally, and then you basically couldn't find it.
I could not find it because I don't have Spotify.
Yeah.
Which it's only on Spotify. Why is it only on Spotify? Because Spotify is the biggest digital distribution, but why is it not on everything else? I don't know.
Maybe I will bring this artist in a different way in some point.
There were other songs by that person.
Yeah. So Davishmar is the person I was trying to play, and their tune is called A Rose Blooms in Chaos, and it's just them playing on the subway.
On a subway
car, and you can see a picture of it, and there's an argument happening
in the background.
Yeah.
Was this used as a sample in one of the Kendrick Drake?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't listen to any of that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even know where I came across that, but I like
all right.
it. But anyway, instead,
super underground.
Yeah. Instead, I am sharing a tune that my top jazz band just played in their concert as we record this 2 days ago. And it's just really, I really, really like it. So the tune is called Cashmere, Cutie. In some of my research and stuff I've been doing for my graduate classes, like I've been digging more into Billy Strayhorn's music. I think that my culminating thesis and project and whatever will be about Strayhorn's music in some way. I still just can't quite like figure out, I can't like narrow it down enough to the single point that I'm trying to make yet. I might have it, but I need to do some more research. So that might be this summer's project, is trying to figure that out. But anyway, I have come across or been looking for more Strayhorn music then to listen to and stuff. And a lot of his tunes, there's a lot of stuff that he wrote that just was not ever played. Because again, he mostly was writing for Duke Ellington's band, and for whatever reason, they just didn't play stuff, or they might have played it, but they didn't record it or whatever. So there's a group called the Dutch Jazz Orchestra, who again, we have heard before on the podcast in relation to Mary Lou Williams. And basically what the Dutch Jazz Orchestra has done is taken music that is kind of underplayed or underperformed or just not recorded at all and put it out. They have 3 albums worth of Billy Strayhorn stuff, because again, he wrote a bunch of things and not all of it was produced and recorded, or maybe it was, but like it got changed in some way. Duke changed it, or the band changed, whatever, for whatever reason. So they're kind of like reproducing this stuff so that way it's out there, and then they're also helping to get a lot of it published, which is cool. So you can get it in the hands of school groups and pro groups and whatever. Something about this one, it just really grabs me. I think the melody, which is pretty simple once it comes in, there's like a piano intro which kind of introduces the melody, and then you hear it properly once it comes in. It's pretty straightforward. It's like a lot of half notes, and like there's some triplets and stuff, and it's just the use of like dynamics and just the more, if you listen to like more Strayhorn, you kind of appreciate it more. Like there's just like nuance and stuff and like stuff representative of his writing that's in here that's hard to kind of just explain. Even the fact that it's in the key of D flat is like a thing. He likes the key of D flat. I think I also like the key of D flat. It's just a key you wouldn't necessarily think of writing in a lot of the time, but it's not a bad key to play in. It puts the trumpets in E flat and tenor saxes in E flat, and puts the altos in B flat.
Okay.
Puts the trombones in D flat, but yeah. but there's just something so nice about it. There's a moment. It's got some like odd phrasing stuff too. Like typically we think about in jazz tunes like 8-bar phrases, unless it's like a 12-bar blues, right? But there'll be some like 6-bar phrases and some 10-bar phrases and some 9-bar phrases, and just kind of. But they don't feel off kilter. Yeah, it feels like that's exactly the right amount of measures that was needed to make this work. The end of the tune, maybe like the last third of the tune, the melody is a unison, like across octaves, clarinet, tenor sax, bari sax, trombone, which is just a nice, like his use of mixing kind of across the sections and use of different colors together is nice. Like, okay, so yeah, three reeds together, but then to throw that trombone in there as a fourth part on that it's just really nice. So that's all. I think people should listen to more Strayhorn, first of all. But yeah, this is the Dutch Jazz Orchestra's performance of Cashmere, Cutie by Billy Strayhorn. So this is just arpeggios, just kind of setting up the tonal center. It goes from D flat to D. And then the melody is slowly introduced here.
What kind of piano do you think that is? Upright?
No, grand piano.
Because it's like left heavy. And then the bass notes are on the... There's some weird things about it, to me. Mixing-wise.
Yeah. It's not an upright, though. You wouldn't record on an upright.
Could, though.
No.
Is it left because that's how a big band would be?
Probably. As you look at it,
but it's kind of weird how the bass notes were on the right. Like the real deep.
Might have just been how they had it mic'd. He has this way of writing these like kind of unison-y lines with like occasional harmony and stuff. The way I talked about this tune too is like it always feels like it's this like bubbling thing, like it's all just kind of like building, and it never quite explodes the way you want like a tune to do.
Yeah, like right here, it's building.
It's building, and it never quite. It's got a couple moments.
Little rolling hills.
Yeah, but you expect like a shout chorus. This is one of those 6-measure sections, and then there's this like cool little interlude thing. And now we've got that clarinet, trombone, tenor sax, bari sax on this unison melody. It's just the way those colors work together so nicely. I like this little moment. Flute for 2 measures. That's it. And it's so effective. And now here comes the end portion. Builds. This is probably the biggest moment of the whole song. And it's just kind of down again. Little piano solo to get us into the last 8 bars. that second to last chord, the voicing of it's really crunchy. And it just kind of settles in. There's a great tune called Smata by him as well that actually my top band played this year also in D flat. It's a little bit different, but it's got some similar vibes to it and kind of like construction and the way he does. But again, it's a hard thing to kind of say of like, you know, if this is the one big band tune you're listening to or the one stray horn tune in particular that you're listening to, it's hard to kind of convey all of his stuff. So you do have to kind of like listen to more to appreciate it. But he's just he was such a brilliant writer. And it's nice in some ways that he got his stuff out there with Duke. His relationship with Duke was fraught in some ways. So Billy was gay in a time when that was not fully accepted, and in some ways Duke kind of shielded him from some of the negative press and different things that could have come his way, but then like at the same time was also like stealing the spotlight from Billy, if that kind of makes sense. Like he'd put his name on stuff, or take Billy's name off of stuff, in the guise of protecting him, but also maybe in the way of like putting more money in Duke's pocket. So, which is also a thing that happened to Duke early in his career. There's a lot of tunes that you'll see like Irving Mills's name on, like you'll say Duke Ellington and Irving Mills. Irving Mills was like his manager. He didn't write anything. He just put his name on stuff so he could get some credits, get producer points or whatever, get composer credits. And then Duke did that to Billy also. Not all the time, but he did it in some ways. But he also helped him. It's like a weird, like not great relationship. It was toxic in a lot of ways, but in other ways positive. So Billy's got an interesting life. There's a great biography called Lush Life by David Haydu, which is really, really good, that I recommend if you want to read more about him. Lush Life is also probably his best known tune. It's might be my favorite tune, like my favorite song. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's a really special one. That's actually where I thought my thesis was going to go, was about that tune. I just couldn't really find enough research to back up my thoughts about it, because my thought about it was in a lot of jazz standards there is the chorus, which is like the main tune that everybody knows. So when we say like in jazz, like you're gonna improvise, you usually improvise for a chorus, which is one time through all of the chord changes of a tune. And there's typically like 32 bar tunes, A, B, A, 8 bars each, kind of thing. Again, 12 bar blues would be 12 bar chorus kind of thing. But there are a lot of jazz standards, especially ones that came from musicals or popular songs, that have what's called a verse before them. And so then the verse is typically dropped in jazz music. Because it's various reasons. Sometimes they're kind of like samey, like they're almost like more recitative. It's like I hang out on this one pitch, and then I move around here, and then I move around here, and I go up, and then that kind of introduces the tune itself. You know what I mean? So it's like these little introductory things that, especially in instrumental land, you just wouldn't do. And then sometimes vocalists do them, whatever. Anyway, all of that to say, Lush Life is like the one tune that everybody does the verse and the chorus, regardless of what you're performing it on. Saxophone, trumpet, piano, voice, it's always there. And there was something about that I was drawn to, and I was like, what can I talk about? Because then my other thought was like kind of doing a thing like about the verses of tunes and saying like maybe like, oh well, they're good, there's some of them are good actually and we should use them or whatever. And my teacher was like, that's a fine opinion, but there's nothing to back that up other than just your opinion about it. And I was like, no, that's fair. Like there's no research done or whatever for me to like go and reference and things. It would just be an opinion piece basically.
But how does that start?
How does what start?
Like if there was something to like, oh, this is...
Well, basically, she was saying like, if I'm a big enough writer, then I can write my own thing, and then I become the reference point for that. Do you know what I mean? But like, I'm not anybody. It's also not the point of the research class is to do research and find. You know, what I mean? Like
it's to do research. It's not to
just
come up with your own ideas.
Well, sort of.
It's to tweak other people's ideas
in some ways, or use others' ideas and research to support my ideas and creativity. So that's where I'm still stuck. The other thing that I might ultimately do, if I can again like kind of find enough backing for it, is there was a couple things that I was reading in relation to Strayhorn's music where they referenced that like a lot of his songs are like similar to art song. And so I'm like, well, what if I do research on art song and then find the ties in between there? You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with that. But anyway, I think people should listen to more Strayhorn. It's got some really, really great stuff. And this Dutch Jazz Orchestra, these 3 albums worth of his stuff is a good place to start because, like I said, that's some of the stuff that just wasn't out there, wasn't really recorded a whole lot. So, yeah. There we go.
Cool. That's our episode.
Cool. Thanks
Until
for
next
listening,
week.
everybody. Bye.